Hi, my name is Rod Khleif, and I'm the host of the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. And every week I interview multifamily rock stars, and we talk about how they've built incredible wealth for themselves and their families through multifamily properties. So hit the like and subscribe buttons to get notified every Monday when a new episode comes out. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Multifamily Rockstars. Now, this is where we interview people that are freaking crushing it in this business. And we show you guys the inside scoop into how multifamily investors create massive success in their businesses and in their lives. And as always, I've got my co-host, the director of our massive action team for our Warrior Mentorship Group, Mark Nagy, on the call. What's going on, brother?
Hey, Rod, not too much. Just excited for another fresh face here on a Friday and fresh new information and nuggets.
That's it. That's it. Well, listen, this is a real treat for me today. I'm interviewing a friend who has kind of been in our ecosystem almost since the beginning. And his name's Powell Chee. He's a multifamily investor. He's also just gotten into self-storage, just closed on a self-storage facility. And we go way back. In fact, I remember meeting Powell at a hotel before my first LA boot camp, and he brought a couple of his friends. It was a lot of fun. We had a couple drinks. And we started talking about how he could create reach, and I suggested a meetup group. Well, Powell takes freaking action, and now Powell, I think, has probably got the largest multifamily meetup organization there is. It's called Multifamily Masters. There are like 15,000 people in the group. Now, Powell lives in LA, but you know, when he came into the Warrior program, he's a warrior. When he came to the program, he had 40 doors. Now he's got over 1,000. And so I'm really excited to get into this. Powell, welcome, brother.
Hey, I appreciate it. That was like my best intro right there. I should have recorded that and then you use that all the time.
We'll give you that recording, my friend, I promise. But It's great to see you, my friend. And before we say anything else, freaking congratulations. I know you're pregnant. No, you're not, but someone important to you is, like your wife. Yeah, that's so freaking exciting, buddy. I can't tell you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. It's been a long time coming, and
right.
we're definitely very excited to add
awesome.
to to have our firstborn. Really.
Oh yeah, of course. And you know, the with the first one, you know, you worry about every little hiccup and burp and everything else. And by the second one, you're like, oh, don't worry about it. They'll stop bleeding in a minute. It's no big deal. But anyway,
my brothers told me.
Super excited for you, my friend. I mean, my daughter just turned 30, so you know, this has been a long time since I first experienced diapers. But anyway, welcome to the show, buddy. And so let's get into it. You know, I think the first question I want to ask you, which and you know, my questions I didn't prepare you for, so just do the best you can. But you know, what is the why that caused you to go from, you know, I mean, you still have a full-time job too, don't you?
I still have my full-time job.
Yeah, still have a full-time job. Now you got a baby coming, but you're up to 1,000 doors already. What's the why that's gotten you to take massive freaking action, you know, in our program?
Yeah, you know, truthfully, like the idea of living the extraordinary life is just super exciting to me. You know, like I really look forward, you know, just try to drive towards that. And I'm a person that drives more towards positive than away from negative, right? So it's not so much I'm running from something. It's more that I just think it's going to, you know, it's exciting to think of like all there is to experience sort of in the world and what you want to do. And maybe sometimes you aren't able to do because money or time or things like that. And I just want to be free of sort of those shackles and be able to say, yeah, you know, if my friends are going skiing tomorrow, I want to be able to say, let's go. Like, hey, you know, like let's take the family and let's go. Let's meet you there. So that's really why.
Yeah. So I'll ask one more question, then we'll let Mark have a couple here. You know, as you were building this, what were some sacrifices that you had to endure, you know, or deal with to have the success, and how did you deal with them? Talk about sacrifice, because you know, some people think, oh, it's just easy, you know, it just happens, but you know, it takes work. You know, was there any sacrifices in this journey so far, the last few years?
Yeah, you know, I would say the biggest sacrifice that I can think of offhand was time, right? Because like you have to, you know, if you have a full-time job, if you have family, if you have other things like other responsibilities, and you're trying to now fit in real estate investing and multifamily investing and that kind of thing, it does take time. So you have to carve out different areas of your life to say, you know, either the mornings or the nights or whatever, your lunch breaks, and you have to dedicate those particular times consistently to do that. And so, you know, before getting into multifamily, I was like, you know, I started waking up early, but I wasn't doing anything waking up early. I would just wake up and check my phone and things like that, right? And if 45 minutes go by, I'm checking my phone. I'm like, why am I even waking up early just to look at my phone? That doesn't make any sense. But you know, just like quickly.
Now, wait a minute. I'm sorry to interrupt. I forgot who you were for a minute. Okay. I don't know if your record still holds, but you know, I've had Hal Elrod on the show, and I used to talk about you as a poster child for his, you know, Miracle Morning. Yeah, yep. Please. Are you still doing that?
Yes, I'm still doing it. So I've never missed one day of it. So
and how long?
Let's see. It will be 5 years in March.
Wow.
5 years in March. Yeah.
Wow. Could you describe for my listeners what it is? And I've had Hal on the show, but if they hadn't heard that episode, could you talk about what the Miracle Morning is? And then I'll quit monopolizing the conversation, Mark.
Yeah, no, sure. So I mean, I think it's a great structure for you for when you're waking up early and what to do, right? So it's the idea of, it has an acronym called SAVERS, SAVERS, right? Silence, affirmations, visualizations, exercise, reading, and scribing or journaling, right? And so you just take a 5-10 minute block of each of those and do each of those exercises. Because, you know, if you study the people that are very successful throughout our whole time, you'll find that they've either done one or multiple of those consistently, right? Whether it's writing or scribing or visualizing. So the idea is to do them all, because you might not know which one you're good at and which one that sort of resonates with you, which one you know is going to help you. So and for me, I don't do them all like exactly how the book says anymore. It's kind of like now I've tailored them to what I do. But but yeah, I mean, I still do consistently every day.
That's fantastic.
And even on days where you miss because of early flight or, you know, take red eyes and things like that, it's like I still do them sometime in the day. So I'll do part of it on the flight and part of it when I get to the hotel and part of it, you know, at lunchtime or something. You know, I'll figure out a way to get them all done.
Now that's freaking dedication. Okay. That is freaking dedication. 5 years of that. That's fantastic, buddy. I'd forgotten until you started talking about the morning. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah. Mark, please fire away, brother.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your vision. Obviously going from 40 to 1,000 plus doors, that's a big jump. You know, getting into this, how did you define success when you were first getting started? And how do you define success right now, currently?
Yeah, you know, I think that it's been pretty much the same in terms of what you think of success. To me, it's the idea of formulating your goals, getting clear on your goals, and then working towards achieving them, right? So those goals can change, but the idea is to consistently grow or consistently improve. And I kind of liken it to sports because my previous world was all in athletics. And so it's really like to be a good athlete and a good player, is you need to improve every day. You need to try to get better every single practice. So it's very similar. You need to get better every day. You need to take steps towards your goals every single day. And your goals might change. And so success, the idea of what is success may change. But to me, it's really like just being on that path of, okay, there is a goal ahead of me and I want to move towards it every day. And I'm not going to get there right away, right? That goal is pretty lofty, or it's going to take a year or longer or whatever it is to get to your particular goals. But you just want to take those small incremental steps and eventually you start to feel like they're coming to fruition. So
nice. Let me interject a question here, just because you've been so good at this. Talk for a minute about putting together a team, because you know you put together a rock star team for your meetup, for your acquisitions. Talk about team for a little bit.
Sure. And to me, like, especially in multifamily and a lot of what, you know, we talk about, Rod, you know, when you're, you know, in discussions with you and all through your program, you talk about really in multifamily, it is a team sport, right? Mm-hmm. It is something that is not like single family where you can do it on your own, or small multifamily, you can do it on your own the whole time. In multifamily and larger multifamily, you're starting to get into 100 unit plus properties. You're having to do so many different types of activities. And rarely is somebody good at all of them, right? I mean, me included, I'm not good at all of them, right? And so you figure out from doing them what you are good at and what value you can bring to that particular team. And then, and that's what, in terms of like the value you can bring to the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that helps a lot of people, is just figuring out what it is specifically they can bring to the team and what they're weak at, right? So understand your strengths and your weaknesses. But also when it comes to building a team, truthfully, I think you have to really form that relationship with them previously, and then like, always like finding out from them if they're on the same path as you are, right? And that can be, it's not always the easiest to do, but you have to figure out, like, ask some hard questions with people and figure out, hey, if this happens, how would you handle it, right? So you have to ask those questions of like, how would you handle this particular situation that has no win or lose? I mean, it's just bad all around. How do you, like, for example, the property goes, something goes bad with the property. How do you handle this with your investors? Ask somebody, how would they handle it? And you want to figure out if you're on the same path of what they would do. And because if you're not on the same path, in general, you can see that relationship started to deteriorate pretty quickly after that, right? And so that's a really important thing, is the doing the upfront sort of almost due diligence on figuring out who your partners will be. Right.
Yeah, no, that's so important. In fact, I've got a book on the topic, and I for the life of me, can't think of the text to text right now, so I'm not going to say it, but I'll try to interject it in the intro for this episode if I remember. If not, you can DM me for it. But I've got a list of those important questions that you should ask a partner. And you just gave us another good one. It's, to talk about particular, I don't have that in there, to talk about specific scenarios and how they might handle it, and see if you're aligned that way. But it's got about 50 questions, because like a marriage, a partnership's easy to get into and not always easy to get out of. And so you need to ask the hard questions up front. It's critical. And so again, DM me on Facebook and I'll get it to you, or Instagram or whatever, and I'll get it to you, because I just can't think of how I can send it off the top of my head. But anyway, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, Rod, you always talk about stress testing a deal to make sure it's going to be a good deal. It sounds like Powell is talking about stress testing your partners in your team.
Yeah, no, that's a great analogy. Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Like
that's
that,
exactly right. I like that a lot, dude. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, I told her there are certain questions, I can get specific questions, but like, you want to ask them whether you're a general partner going into another general partner relationship with somebody in a syndication. You're talking to the sponsorship team. There's certain questions that you want to ask that are, they're not the easy questions, but you want to ask them up front. I mean, it's the time to ask is when you're starting to put together those particular teams.
Right. I'm texting somebody on my team to see if I can get that so I can share it with you guys. Anyway, yeah, go ahead, Mark. Ask your next question.
Yeah, well, let's go a little bit deeper on that, because I actually wanted to ask you about that. What do you think are the best sorts of people that you should align yourself with in this business to be successful? Whether it's a skill set, a trait, a personality type that you're looking for, how would you describe those people that you want to align with?
Yeah, I would say that, initially, I guess it's kind of hard for me. It starts off as maybe a friendship for me. So like an acquaintance type of friendship, right? And this is how it's worked for me. I'm not saying this is how it should work for everybody, but for me, it's like an acquaintance relationship. And then it turns into a friendship. And then it starts to turn into, in a way, a little bit of a working partnership. So not necessarily like, hey, we're going to partner and we're going to form a company and we're going to do all this and we're going to figure out the splits yet. More, I need to find out, how quickly do you respond to me, or how quickly do you take action when I ask you to do something that's maybe not the easiest for you to do, right? So I say, I want you to call that broker and make sure you get an appointment to see that property and go visit it or whatever, something like that, where it takes a little effort to do that, right? And you want to find out how fast and how eager is that person going to get that accomplished, and how well are they going to do with that, and how good are they at maybe coaching or giving you some insight that you might not have known, right? And as the better that you, I guess, align with that person, you will find that you like the speed that they do it at. You like that they're giving you insight that you would not have known. They're helping you grow. You're helping them grow. That you just kind of vibe together really well. And the more that you do that, and the faster that you do that, the more that you can kind of think, this is probably going to be a relationship that we can sort of take and formalize, right? And so that's the way it's worked for me and my business partners and my teams, is that we start off with sort of smaller tasks of making sure we do something. And how does that work with, how are we working with each other? Because there are times where there are people that I like, that I think are great people. And we've done this a little back and forth, and we're not on the same pace, and we're just not, we're not aligning right. And I've known that even though I have gone into a more of a formalized relationship with them, it's not really the best. I mean, they're good people, and I don't think it's not a bad relationship, but it's just not, you're just not vibing as
it's not long term. It's
Yeah.
not going to work long term. No, I get it. Okay, yeah. She texted me back, and here's the book, by the way. It's called Questions to Ask When Forming a Partnership, and it's got I don't know, probably over 50. But you text the word partnership, duh. Text the word partnership to 72345, and we'll get that to you guys, okay? And it's so critical, because I've had partnerships that have been great and partnerships that have failed because I didn't ask those hard questions up front. And you just added some great advice there, buddy, where you kind of see how responsive they are. That's huge. And you've given me some ideas to add to this thing. So thank you for that. So, you joined the Warrior Program, what, like, has it been 3 years, 2.5 years? How long has it been? I think
it was around the middle of 2017.
So almost 4 years. Holy cow. Yeah. So 3.5 years.
Yeah, it was very different back then. It was, first of all, smaller, but we didn't have everything that you've grown it into now. I mean, congratulations to you that you've grown it into significantly bigger than.
Yeah. Right. Well, bigger and a whole lot better too. I mean, we do so much more now. I mean, literally it's almost monthly. We're adding new stuff. It's been a lot of fun. But now, did we meet via the podcast, or did we first meet at that LA boot camp? I don't recall.
No, so we met on just a phone call. I think it was just like, hey, text me if you're interested in, like a small group coaching kind of program, right?
Right.
And
so. Right. It was just
it was just like that. And then I think it just grew from there. And it was all just online, virtual, just meeting people virtually and just talking there. And then eventually you started having your live events, and that's when we started actually meeting in person from the live events.
And you came to a bunch of them, I know. And
I've been to everyone, you know that?
Have you really? Holy cow.
Yeah, I'm one of the people that's been to every single one.
No kidding. Wow.
The power of networking, right?
That's it, guys. That's a clue, guys. That's a clue. Okay. Because he knows the power of networking, and he's done it. Yeah. I hope we can go live this year. I think we can towards the end of the year. I'm trying to push to have our mastermind here in April, but I don't know if you got a text for that. I've got to make a decision on that pretty soon because with the hotel, but I don't know if they're going to have the vaccine out quick enough. But anyway, Mark, go ahead and fire away with some more questions.
Yeah, well, I'd love to hear about one of your favorite failures here that's helped you
negative.
Set up for your future success. Yeah.
No, that's good. That's good. It's a good question. And truthfully, my biggest failure probably still happened on my very first one that I bought. So I bought a 40-unit apartment building January 2017. So it was maybe 6 months or so before I joined the Warrior Program, right? And that was part of the reason why I joined the Warrior Program. Was there were certain things that I have a property, but like now I need to know how to run it, and I need to know from other people, and I need to form some relationships with other people who are doing it. I can't just listen to podcasts all day and then expect to know how to run a property, right? So that was what my impetus of getting into the Warrior Program. But that property, the biggest mistake that I did, and it's kind of still kind of haunted me, is that I didn't fire the property manager fast enough. I just really kind of held on to them on a long time, way too long. I mean, I still own the property, and it's still having these issues that I need to clean up. And
you still have the same property manager?
No.
Oh, okay.
I do not.
Okay.
But I went through in 2020. I went through 4 property managers at that time. So, and I'm on my 4th right now. And hopefully it's more permanent. But it's hard to go through all of that during COVID, right? Like you're going through basically 4 different property managers all during COVID, right?
Why do you think that happened? Why do you think that happened? Because that is unusual to have that many over a period of time. Is it the asset? The asset needs too much work. It's overwhelming. It's too rough. What is it? What do you think it is? Sure.
It's part of that. So part of it was, so part of it, first of all, that I just felt like right at the start of COVID, I basically terminated my property manager that I said I should have terminated them a long time ago.
Oh, okay. So that was the one you held on to.
Yeah, that was my
You're
first
a nice
mistake.
guy. Oops, you're a nice guy. So I know that's not an easy thing for you to do, is let somebody go.
Let them go. Yeah. So that took way too long. So that was the big mistake. The second property manager, truthfully, what happened is it is a rough property, and it does require a lot of attention. And being that it's a 40 unit, I don't really have a space to have a on-site person, right? So then now it's like, how are you going to be be present, but not have somebody on site, that all of that, and being a sort of a rough property, lends to like just a hard property to manage, right? But the second property manager, they weren't able to. I had my own maintenance manager, and they said at first, yes, you can use your own maintenance person, but 2 months into it, they said, Powell, we can't make any money off of what's going on here, so we're going to have to end this relationship, because I wasn't going to fire my maintenance guy. And so they ended up leaving. And then the third one was, I think it was a little bit bigger of a property than they were used to. So they were more single family.
Okay.
Weren't really ready.
Yeah. I in my head, I was thinking on site, and I didn't realize you're talking about property management companies. And guys, this is why, unless you live in the area, I don't suggest you buy assets that size out of state, okay? Because of the problems especially if they're C or C minus properties, because of the problems Powell's outlining, because to have, if you have a property that's got 70 units or more, 70 units or more, you can have an on-site manager, you can have an on-site maintenance staff. But, if you're dealing with a management company to manage an asset that's less than that, first of all, you're going to pay a much higher management fee, because you can't, they have to do the leasing from their office. They have to coordinate the maintenance from their office. They have to line all that out. And I will tell you, as an aside, you want to be very, very careful on the maintenance, because like Powell discovered, he's got his own maintenance staff there now, because, maintenance is a real profit center for a management company. They'll hire some kid at $20 an hour and bill him out at 100. So you want to be really careful about that piece. And so, yeah. And now I'm sure you don't buy anything that small. The rest of your assets were larger than that for the most part, I think, right?
Yeah. All the rest of them are over 100. So
yeah. Right. So, that was the memo, is that smaller asset, because, and it's a hassle, because it's one of many for a property management company. And the other hurdle is, management companies can only handle one specific type of asset. If for example, if they're used to doing houses and duplexes, they're going to fail on a 40 unit. If they're used to doing 100 unit properties, they're going to fail on a 40 unit. If they're used to doing A and B assets, they're going to fail on a C or D asset. So, all of that's really important, guys. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox, but I'm really glad you brought that up, because that's really educational for the listeners here. Sorry to relive that pain for you, man.
And I'm still going through it. And truthfully, like, I don't necessarily recommend or don't recommend that people do what I'm doing. It's more like, but it is tough. It is certainly a learning experience that you're learning a ton of at the time. So, yeah, I mean, it's.
What city is that one in again? Refresh my memory.
Indianapolis.
Now, do you have other assets there now? Is that how you were able to have a maintenance person, or is that you're borrowing somebody else's?
I just got a recommendation from this maintenance guy, and he's been he's been really good to the property. So I've been pretty lucky.
Yeah.
Not scalable,
Oh, yeah.
Really.
That's huge.
I'm just lucky, right?
That's huge, especially in a tougher asset like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, knowing what you know now, if another hot 40 unit came across your desk tomorrow, you think you're going to pursue it and take it, or are you going more for the 100+ bigger ones because of what you learned from that?
Yeah, so I'm probably not going to do that. It's one of these ones that I would probably work with a team member to, I might partner with somebody who really wanted to do that, but I would not myself do that one anymore.
Yeah, my suggestion would be don't do it unless it's in your backyard, so you can keep eyes on it. But even with a 40 unit, you've got to give somebody in the complex some money off rent so they can be the eyes on the property, maybe even show units and stuff like that. And I like one of the things I teach in my courses is if you can find an old retired couple and give them free rent, and where the old guy's handyman, he's come from the trades of some sort and he can fix anything, as long as it's not too big. And the woman is that woman that's in everybody's business, that's always looking out the window with her binoculars. When you find that situation, you're golden, because they can handle, I've had that on smaller assets that I've owned here in Florida and in Denver. But anyway,
yeah.
So
I would tell you, Mark, just to really quickly,
yeah.
just to answer your question too, is like, I would treat this as a stepping stone for people. Like, it's in my head, I thought I was going to own this maybe forever, right? Hey, I'm going to own this 40 unit forever. But truthfully, I think when you go into it, you got to think like, I'm going to probably try to sell this property in 5 years or something. I'm going to get in it. I'm going to learn a lot. I might make, not as much as you're projecting to make, because you're going to learn a bunch of things, but it's going to be a good stepping stone to say, like, now I can get into something that maybe 100 units, right? Now I understand taking the jump from 0 to 100 is pretty tough.
I'm really glad you said that, Powell. I'm really glad you said that, because I was kind of alluding to that, and I'm glad you clarified that, because everybody does these stepping stones. They start with a duplex, then they do a 10 unit, then they do a 40, and then they, or whatever, and they go larger. And so I'm glad you clarified that. I appreciate that. So let me ask you this. What words of wisdom would you share with listeners that haven't taken action yet? Maybe they've done some single family, they have not done multifamily, they're a little afraid of it. What advice would you give them towards taking action?
Yeah. I mean, besides go do it, give them a kick in the butt, you got to go do it. You know what I mean? That's the simple answer, is you got to go do it, right? You can't sit on the sidelines the whole time. You sit on the sidelines the whole time, you're never going to get any. It's like reading a book on how to swim or something, right? You can't read a book and forums and podcasts on how to swim. It's like, you got to get in the pool, right? You got to get in the pool sometimes. So, there is taking action. Obviously, no one takes stupid action, but you do got to take some action. I think partnering can be a really good way of taking that action, right? Mm-hmm. You could partner with somebody who's a little bit more experienced with you than you, or you could partner with people who are experienced probably the same as you, and consolidate your skills, your cash, your learning, and your responsibilities, and kind of move in that direction with partnering. I think that's probably a great way to go, because it's also scalable in terms of, like, if you decide to get larger properties or more properties, because at a certain point you do this all by yourself, you buy your 20 unit, 40 unit, whatever it is, eventually you run out of money, no matter how much money you have, right? So it's not scalable at a certain point, right?
Yep. No, and I mean, sorry, Mark, let me interject something. I mean, you subscribed to that, and we actually partnered with you on an asset in Dallas, and I remember,
great asset.
Really nice asset. Yeah. So I know
that was fun. We did a due diligence. We went out there together and went around to different properties and looked at other properties, and
we had a lot of fun with it. That's one of my favorite things in the world to do. By the way, guys, if you have an interest in the Warrior program, text the word crush to 72345 and you can apply for it. That's how you apply. And we you check us out and we check you out, to see if it's a fit both ways. But again, that's crush to 72345. That's a new number. We've gotten a new number for that. But anyway, we'd love to chat with you. Mm-hmm.
I'll tell just really a quick story about that property, Rod, too. Remember? Okay. I don't know if you remember this, but when we were out there doing due diligence on the actual property, right? Remember, we were like, oh, we got to clean this up a little bit. The residents aren't taking, that good care of it. And then there was 4 of us, right? And when we're walking around, we realized that we're like, man, there is a lot of dog crap all over the place. And I was the only one that didn't step in dog crap that day. It's like, you, Robert,
really? I do not remember that.
Yeah, you guys all stepped in dog crap that day. Each one of you one day at one point of the day, it's like, oh man, look, scraping.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, I don't remember what I had for breakfast, so it's not surprising that I forgot that. But that's funny. Yeah, no, that's a beautiful asset, and we've just bought 2 more within 5 minutes of it. We just raised $13 million on a 270 unit asset there that we love. Here a week and a half ago. So we definitely love that market, and that asset has just been 100% occupied since day one. I mean, it's just killing it. So we're really blessed. We've got a great team there. So that's why we're excited to get more assets over there. So go ahead, Mark.
I just wanted to summarize really quickly before we end this out. And Powell, you tell me if I'm wrong, but from what I've gathered from everything that you've said today, this business really starts and ends with people, networking, and partnerships, right? Whether you're raising $13 million and you're doing a 270 unit, like Rod just mentioned, or like what you just said, you're brand new into the business and you want to partner with somebody else to get into your first deal. You know, if there's something to take away from this podcast, it's people, 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 right? And Powell, you tell me if I'm wrong, but that was my big takeaway from today here.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, you know, it's really why, one of the main reasons why I joined the Warrior program, right? Is like I said, like I said, I had already bought a property, right? I already gotten to the point where I could buy a property, but now I need to know from people who also, other people who have properties, like how are they handling this situation? Because it's, you know, it's not always something that you can read in a book, right? And so you asking other people, how would they handle this? And then asking other people, so I was asking Rod, hey Rod, specifically on this, on my property, what would you do if you were in my situation, right? So that was a major reason why I joined the program. Was other, you know, my network and just the people there that I thought could help me out, and hopefully I could help out other people as well.
Well, and you have, buddy. You've inspired other people. You've helped lots of people. So
appreciate that.
I'm grateful to have you in my ecosystem, buddy. And yeah, you've done some amazing things. Well, listen, I really appreciate you being on the show, Powell. And if you guys want to connect with him, he's on LinkedIn, Powell Chee, and you just done some amazing stuff, and we're grateful for you. And yeah, so exciting to see what this year brings. I know you're going to knock it out of the park. I know you've shifted and you're doing some self-storage as well. So it'll be fun to hear how that goes. I know you just closed on that, and the baby, of course. So do you know what it is yet?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, it is
little boy.
Little boy. Oh, congratulations, man. That's so freaking cool. That's so cool. Well, please give her my regards as well. And thanks for being on the show. And Mark, good to see you, buddy. And all right, we'll see you guys later.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Rod. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks. Take care.
So one other quick thing. We encounter so many people that are frankly frustrated. You know, they're looking in the mirror and they're frustrated that they haven't been able to escape the rat race. They haven't been able to build cash flow to the point where they're able to have financial and time freedom with their families. You know, and maybe they see other people buying real estate and creating, you know, incredible cash flow, and they think, well, it's just scary. You know, buying apartments is intimidating. And I get it. But see, that's why we created our Warrior Mentorship Program. They're our coaching students, and they've had extraordinary results. My students, I've been teaching about 5 years, and they own upwards of 140,000 units now that we know of, right? And we feel like it's just getting going. Now we're looking to grow this group and really take it to the next level. And honestly believe that the greatest transfer of wealth could be upon us right now with this current economic environment. Everything's going on sale. So we're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework, really like a blueprint or a map, literally step by step. And then they're able to leverage our systems and our incredible network to raise money and equity, to find deals and close those deals and build partnerships really nationwide. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more in our incredible network and take advantage of the unbelievable opportunities that are upon us, you can apply to my Warrior Mentorship Program by texting the word CRUSH to 72345, or you can go to mentorwithrod.com. And what we'll do is we'll set up a call so you can check us out and we can check you out and see if it's a fit. Now, again, you can go to mentorwithrod.com or text the word CRUSH to 72345 to apply, and we will speak soon.